Good afternoon, I'm Sangeeta Kandola. The government is being warned that requiring COVID passports to allow access to hospitality or entertainment venues would be divisive and discriminatory. Ministers say no final decision has been made on COVID certificates to prove you've already had COVID, a vaccine or a negative test. But the Culture Secretary has confirmed it is an option being discussed. A campaign group including more than 70 MPs, from former Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn to senior Tory Ian Duncan-Smith, is opposing the idea. Nithya Rajan reports.
It's been a year since the pitter-patter of a performer on stage was heard at the Grand Theatre in Wolverhampton. The occasion to mark the arrival of extra funding for theatres. While more cash has been welcomed, plans to use COVID certification are becoming increasingly controversial.
It is about looking at ways of proving that you're COVID secure, whether you've had a test or had the vaccine. Clearly no decisions have been made on that because we have to weigh up different factors.
Despite assurances that nothing is set in stone yet, more than 70 MPs have launched a cross-party campaign against the proposals. They argue it could lead the nation down a dark road.
This is discrimination. To have an internal passport that some people have and other people don't, or that affects your ability to function in society, that is discrimination and segregation. And you will be giving these powers to oppress people.
For owners of smaller venues, the plans could have a big impact. Ryan Gleeson's comedy club in Blackpool seats 180 people. Over the last year, he's lost more than £100,000 and wonders whether those desperate to get customers back will comply.
It does sound a little bit like they are trying to get industries that have had restricted income for the past 12 months to police themselves out of income. How are we expected to have somebody full-time just to make sure people have got a piece of paper?
If you can't do 10k for a seat, then I don't want to hear no chat about numbers.
This year's Brit Awards could set the stage for a series of pilot schemes to trial COVID certification. Over the next month, larger sporting events like the FA Cup final in Wembley will also take part. The hope is to find a way for scenes like this to become normal once again. Nithya Rajan, ITV News.
Well, our political reporter Hannah Miller is with me now. Hannah, some big names speaking out there against the idea of COVID passports.
Yes, and it comes at the same time, Sangeeta, as more details start to emerge about what they could look like. We understand the government's considering updating the NHS app so that it shows whether or not you have had a jab, a negative test, or already have antibodies. No final decision has been made, but it's one of the things that they could look to trial in those pilot schemes that are coming in the next few months. The sense that COVID certificates in some form are really seriously on the table is what has prompted that unlikely coalition of MPs to speak out. You mentioned earlier Ian Duncan-Smith and Jeremy Corbyn. There's also senior Conservative Graham Brady, Labour's Diane Abbott, the current Lib Dem leader Ed Davey. The swell of opposition actually puts the Labour leader Keir Starmer as a key protagonist in all of this, because if the government does seek to get this through, they could be reliant on Labour support. Downing Street say they're very aware there's a range of equality, ethical and privacy issues in all of this. They won't be rushed into making answers today, but we are expecting more details on Monday.
OK, Hannah, thank you very much. More countries have been added to England's travel red list. International visitors who have been in or through the Philippines, Pakistan, Kenya and Bangladesh in the previous 10 days will be refused entry. UK residents arriving will have to self-isolate in a government-approved hotel for 10 days. At least 48 people have been killed and more than 100 injured after a train derailed in a tunnel in Taiwan. It's thought the train hit a truck that had fallen onto the tracks. Emergency crews have been searching the wreckage for survivors. And people heading to the coast this Easter weekend are being urged to keep their distance from seals. Campaign group The Seal Alliance says the animals have ventured further inshore on beaches that have become quieter as a result of the lockdown. Well, that is it this lunchtime. Charlene White will be here with the ITV Evening News at 6:30. The news where you are follows the national weather. Until then, from everyone here, bye-bye.